What's up, guys, and welcome back to Paint Bravely, the podcast where you can find a little bit of encouragement, discover new ways to make your hobby more fun, and most importantly, learn to paint bravely. Now, today we actually have a lot to talk about, which I'm pretty excited for. It's been the same amount of time since the last podcast, but for some reason, there's a lot more stuff. So I think we're going to jump right in before Brent chokes on his new special drink of the week. And I'm just going to ask, what's been going on, Brent? Huh?
I've been getting hobby done, Casey. I've been doing stuff. I've been just dawn to dusk and then far, far beyond dusk. Every day I've been doing stuff.
Ooh.
Got a bunch of projects going on. And it's a good feeling. It's a good feeling.
That's cool.
How about you?
Well, that's got to be a record. You're like, lots, but I'm not going to tell you about it. Let's see here. Okay, fine. I'll jump right in. I'll be that. I've been doing also a lot of stuff. Surprisingly, a lot of stuff for continuing the baby diaries that I've been doing. I painted a couple of tanks last week, which I thought turned out pretty cool. Some fancy colors on those. Let's see here. Yeah, I bought a Vortexer, finally. Got one of those.
Wow.
Yeah. Like I finally, like I had, I don't know, it's like just the right amount of cash to go, you know what? Like $70 is the perfect time. It's right there. And I just clicked buy now on Amazon. Yeah. Cool thing was like, it showed up the next day. So
Ooh.
it was like immediate gratification.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. It's actually been really good. I've caught myself a couple of times like going to shake the paint and being like, aha, no. And then, using the Vortexer. It's like I ran an extra power cord behind my desk, so it's up here now with all my paints.
Very good.
So yeah, pretty excited about that. I also spent money on a defiler. I don't know if you've seen one of those.
I have.
Like everybody's
You put it in your
least
video. I
favorite
actually did catch up on your videos, so yeah. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I bought a defiler for like $50.
Very nice.
I'm gonna paint it because it's one of those like super nostalgic models from Games Workshop that a lot of people seem to hate, but I think it's rad.
Yeah, it's this big metal spider basically, right? It's like a tank with
maybe
spider
it's like
legs and claws.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Think of like that stupid idea from Wild Wild West.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that. Maybe that's why people hate it so much.
That very well could be.
That.
Yeah, I've mentioned before Wild Wild West is why I don't really get along with the entire concept of steampunk. Like that one movie just ruined the genre.
I could see that ruining it for you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Which is a bummer. Yeah.
It is. Well, I know that some people really love their steampunk. And for me, it's just like, that is the stupidest movie I've ever seen. A giant metal spider? You like giant metal spiders?
Have you ever heard the story of that giant metal spider before?
What's
like,
that?
I can't remember the guy's name that's like the producer or the director or somebody. Like that giant metal spider idea has been floating around Hollywood for like, it was like 20 years before that movie came out. And it was supposed to be in like all these other movies slated with like all this work put in. And finally it showed up. Like all of the stars aligned and it like showed up in Wild Wild West, solidifying it as a terrible movie. Like just because of this one thing it's like this bad idea that's been circling the drain for years. Yeah, there are like podcasts about it. It's crazy. It's like a whole thing.
Huh. Well, I'd like to learn a little bit more about that, but I don't know. Without that giant metal spider, that movie would be entirely forgettable. It'd be High Noon. That's true. It would just be gone from the memory banks. It would be.
Yeah, ironically, you're right. It would be like completely forgettable.
Yeah.
Which is sad for everybody involved.
Right.
Because there are some good actors in that movie.
Right. Now that giant metal spider just cements it for all eternity as this is a bad movie. These actors are bad people. And steampunk is bad. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that sounds about right. Well,
there's more to that story. Wasn't Will Smith like originally slated to be in The Matrix, but he turned it down so he could be in Wild Wild West or something?
I think so. I think that's one of the stories out there. Like he was supposed to be Neo,
right?
And then he just wasn't.
Yeah, we all make mistakes, right?
I mean, yeah. I think Will Smith seems to make more mistakes than most people, like movie choices wise. Like he did good for a long time, and then I don't know what happened.
Hancock, Hitchcock, Hancock.
I mean, Hancock was pretty good.
Was it? Okay.
A lot of subtext in that movie.
Man. Look, this is not a Will Smith podcast. No. It doesn't have to be. It could be.
I mean, we talked about
right now, Casey. We're just going full Will Smith for 2 hours.
I don't think I can. I mean, okay, no, I could.
We'll save some for next time, dear listeners.
Yeah.
Write in the comments below what Will Smith movies you like and dislike.
And we'll discuss. Bright. It was interesting.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I mean, at least that's like within the realm of like orcs, right? Orcs and fairies and elves. Yeah, magic wands.
Didn't see it.
You didn't see it?
Mm-mm.
Really? That's surprising.
I made a judgment call to cancel Netflix because I've already got enough.
Right.
And I'm gonna wait a year or two, and then I'm gonna switch it back up again, catch up on the various catalogs. I've got a strategy in here. Part of the strategy is remembering to cancel CBS All Access, which I did.
I was just about to ask.
Yeah.
Oh, you did. Good job. Congratulations.
They only got 1 month out of me.
Yeah.
And I got 2 trial months out of them, so
that's nice.
Again, you win some, you lose some, but on recently. The whole, we're doing okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I signed up recently because I haven't watched any of the new Star Trek, anything of it. So I figured I'd at least catch up, and I've seen like 2 episodes of Picard, and that's it. So I haven't gotten very far.
You weren't just
I want to hear it. I know
your to your TV screen, unable to stop binging until the end.
I mean, I wanted to.
Okay.
But honestly, like having kind of and this is going to sound terrible because it is, having a bedtime because of children is like the worst. And it's not like I can't just go do whatever I want after they're asleep, but it's a process. So by the time I'm like putting them down, I'm like, oh my God, I can't function. Like we read one too many bedtime stories and I'm done. So yeah, it's a side effect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But you've been...
that's my life right now.
Yeah, but you've been getting those Nurgle painted. Those tanks are looking
that's true.
Nice. So what you didn't mention is those tanks you painted have dozers on the front of them, and you did the caution stripes on the dozers.
I did the chevrons.
Yeah. The sweet striping. You masked them off and did some spraying, and they look good. And also you did the citrus colors, like the orange and lime green. So 2 different tanks. One's your orange, one's your lime. Together, they're the citrus Nurgle tanks, and they look great.
Yeah. I'm slowly moving into this weird like cotton candy territory that I'm noticing like a trend that I'm gonna have to like really fight to get out of. Because I don't want a cotton candy Nurgle army. And I'm already using like fluorescent pink as kind of my pop color. To really just tie everything together. And like that looks really cool on a lot of the stuff, but like going with the green, I was thinking like, okay, well, you know, it's a nice green, it's Nurgle, it makes sense. The yellow, very traditional for chevrons on the front of any kind of chaos tank, or any tank for that matter, in Warhammer. Which is very traditional, although I went with not black stripes because I have like the chipped away paint, it's all white and weathered and stuff, so I might end up weathering them down a little further with some brown just to kind of like not make them so cotton candy. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, save that for now. Preference. See what the final army looks like, because I like them the way they are.
They do look cool.
It would be easier if like you could just
I haven't touched them because of that. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like, there's no reason to actually touch them at all. Like, the army looks cool, even if it is cotton candy. Like, it doesn't matter. It looks rad. Like,
Very
it
nice.
just is what it is. So it's 100% personal preference. I left the tanks not weathered in the front. Like, I did some brush weathering, just like real fine detail stuff. But I didn't just slather it in like brown wash, you know? So, because I like the way it looked. I don't know. What do you think, camera? What do you think?
Well, this army has been interesting to watch you work on because it seems like you're putting more time and effort into it than you did with like your demon army. You know, because you're spending a little bit more time on the individual paint schemes, and on that
Yes.
army of demons, you weren't masking things off and doing stripes. You were getting your red down,
that's all
and then
like
you were getting
run
your
and
glowing
gun.
swords down.
Yeah. Yes. When I do commission work, and I kind of hesitate to call that commission work because it wasn't, right? I meant to sell that army. I didn't. I still have it. It's in a box. It's been in a box since I
didn't bring it up. You brought it up. Yeah.
No, my point is like when I'm in a certain mindset, right, to get something done, to paint an army, that does look delicious. When I'm in a mindset to get an army painted, like I put together a plan, and it's like the most streamlined, ready to go plan that I can make it. And there are certain things that you do when you're painting an army on a scale and on a timeline that's I mean, it's quick, right? There are just certain things that you don't bother doing. Masking is one of those things. Like, you get really good at airbrushing around things when you know you don't have the option to come back, right? You don't have the option to mask something off. Unless I absolutely had to, I didn't mask anything on that army. And there are a couple of like parts where the blue might have hit a forearm, but it's one of those things where you can kind of like lure it away, right, so to speak, and just say, oh, it's OSL. It's OSL, fine. And it does look like that. So, yeah, this army I'm planning on keeping. This is my Nurgle army. I have probably, I don't know, 3,000 or 4,000 points of Age of Sigmar Nurgle. So all the fantasy models, great and clean ones, all the stuff, right? I have tons of models for that. And I thought, like, well, if I'm going to start playing 40k again, I might as well have a Death Guard army. So here we are. Like, I'm going to keep it. I'm going to put some effort into it that I want to see on the table. So it's a little different.
Very nice. Yeah, no, I've been enjoying watching that project come along here. And, you know, I've been painting chaos myself, actually. So, speaking of giant metal spiders, I've been working on a Lord Discordant on Hellstalker. No, wait, I'm messing that up. Whatever. It's a 40k Chaos Marine giant metal spider. A little bit of an a little bit of an insect chaosy face. It's got a big tail on it, which spiders don't really have.
That's true.
We got a lot of great comments last video, maybe the one before, about thoraxes and abdomens. We're not getting that serious into spiders here, but this one has a tail with a stinger on it, and that's pretty cool. But I've been spending a lot of time doing metal filigree. So the especially the newer Chaos Space Marine models, just every plate of armor is covered in metal borders, basically, with frames and filigree.
That's like chaos in a nutshell, right?
Yeah.
Everything is just bordered in a metal something.
Yeah. And just spending a lot of time outlining things in gold. So this project, I am not making a Chaos Space Marine army for myself. This is for the Nova Open Charitable Foundation for this coming year. And I think that the auction or raffle actually starts the next month or so here.
It's coming up, yeah.
Yeah. So this time I'm working with the same group of folks who did the Blood Angels army last year. This time Sweet. We're doing a Khorne army. So the organizers, I don't know what they have with red Space Marines, but They're like, okay, this time it's going to be chaos, and we're using a slightly different shade of red. Okay,
right.
well, let's do it.
You're using corn red. Did you go out and buy that pot of corn red?
No.
You didn't.
I went with Army Painter Chaos Red,
my God.
and I actually had Evil Sun Scarlet around here, which they were all using for the highlight color.
Okay, so you're probably safe.
But I did have to go out and buy Balthazar Gold. So,
really? Such a bummer.
It is, right? But no, I'm committed to this. I want my model to look like it belongs with the others. Of course, a bunch of different artists, so there's different, a little bit of different styles within the army, but mostly the same colors, so they mostly fit together. One person is doing all the bases so that they'll have a better chance
That's a very good idea. I mean, that definitely does it more than almost anything else. Like, you get same base on everything, and it's like, well, obviously these go together, right? Like, because you look at like Blood Angel armies, and it's like, okay, you got your Blood Angels, then you got your like Blood Angels who are all gold.
Yeah.
Well, what's with that, right?
Yeah.
They're not red, but they got the same base. You're good.
Yeah. So we had a palette of colors that we were all using, and the instructions were given in Citadel colors, which it converts in some cases, and in others, like, it's readily available. And on the silver does not matter. Officially, I think we're supposed to use Stormhost silver, but
bright silver.
Right, exactly. And any of the metallics are shiny enough so that the exact tone doesn't matter so much, or shade or whatever. Except for golds, there's different amounts of brown and red and yellow in there. So I felt like I really did need to actually go out and buy Citadel Ganis Gold and Balthazar Gold.
Yeah.
And I actually think they're okay. They're decent metallics. They're all right.
Fine.
Every time I open the pot, I get a ring of paint on my hands, which is not an experience I've had a lot of because I don't use many Citadel paints, but those pots are just stupid in new ways I didn't even know about. But.
Right. Yeah, it's sad because, like, I really like Citadel paints. Like the way that they work. And I don't know if it's just because I've been using them for so long or what the deal is. Because I have all brands of paint, right? I've used basically every brand of paint on the market. But, like, Citadel just feels good. Like, it does the things that I want it to do. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. It sucks that, like, they have to come in such terrible pots. Terrible.
Right. Well, maybe one of these next episodes, while you're talking, I'm just going to be sitting here, like, angrily pouring Citadel paints into bottle droppers,
I mean, for the low cost of about $15, like, it's worth doing.
I mean, I have all the supplies I need, and you could like just watch
you,
my
like,
angry face and narrate while I'm pouring the paint in.
YouTube.com/paintbravely the podcast. Leave your comment down below. Would you love to see Brent just angrily filling paint pots, dropper bottles from Citadel bottles for an entire episode of this podcast? I want to get that in the comments and solidify this for literally 2 weeks from now. All right, thank you.
Casey, you'll have to do all the talking on that podcast. I will be in no mood to have a conversation with another human. I'll just be I'll just turn off my mic. I'll leave the camera on though. I'm
totally fine with this.
And I'll be like searching through my supplies, realizing I got Incubi Darkness back there and Sybarite Green, and might as well convert those over.
Oh, you might as well.
And just while we're in the comical bitterness here, I went to my local Games Workshop store to make that purchase of Balthazar Gold. And I walk in there, still am not recognized by the manager, which
that was my next question. Okay.
Yeah. And actually I was kind of hanging out there for like a little while longer. Like Okay,
just to see.
So first off, they did not have Balthazar Gold. So the
No
entire
way, really?
purpose of a Games Workshop store is just right out the window at this point.
That is insane. That is actually kind of crazy. Like that's one of like the colors that they usually keep stocked. It's like Nuln Oil.
Right. Well, I walk in there and hey, the typical salesman stuff, like, hey, how you doing? What can I help you with? What armies you working on? And I'm like, oh, hey, right. I'm just here for some gold. He's like, oh, we got a lot of great golds. I think we're out of Balthazar Gold. I mean, at least he knew what he had in the stock.
That's a good point.
Like,
oh, good for him.
Okay. He's like, yeah, it's a really popular gold. Like, all right, it's a really good gold. Okay. Like, but you could just use Liberator Gold and put a bit of brown in there. Like, no, that's really not the point. Cheating. Yeah.
Did you at least you didn't tell him like, no, it's for a charity auction for an army, like I have to use the same gold as everyone else? Did you tell him that?
I actually did. Yeah.
Okay.
No,
I would have. That's pretty straightforward.
Not super directly, but he's like, oh yeah, what are you working on? He's like, I'm like, oh, and they do the thing of like, oh, what do you like to paint? What are you working on? I'm like, oh, I paint a bunch of stuff. Again, no recognition. And I'm like, this particular project is, doing something for that Nova Open Charity Foundation raffle. And need that specific gold. It's like, oh yeah, cool. And I did hang around the store for another 5 minutes, just kind of poking through their stock, and
as you do,
as I do, but just keeping up a little bit of a conversation. No recognition. I'm kind of enjoying this, actually. Like
talking Warhammer like on the level, just on this normal plane.
Yeah. Well, I'm enjoying that, but I'm also enjoying like just seeing how long it takes for this man to figure out that, one, he's seen me before, and two, that like other people have seen me before.
Was there anybody else in the store?
One other couple did come in, and they didn't recognize me, but like I have been recognized by his customers in his store, which is very small previously.
Yeah. Those stores are generally like the size of a spare bedroom. Yeah, very small.
Yeah. So anyway, that was my most recent trip to a Games Workshop store. I ended up driving a little farther out to go to my favorite Crossroad games, which did have Balthazar and Gehenna's Gold, so I picked those up. And
very nice.
Also got myself the Chaos Sphinx cat thing, Sphere Ranks, from the Warcry or whatever. And
oh, right. I know what you're talking about.
Vince Venturella will be proud of me. I know he likes that one. He's a big fan over there. So
you gotta paint it at least as good as him. I mean, come on.
Well, I think that one's gonna sit in my pile for a good few months before I get around to that.
You're not gonna be like, I painted a cat to look like my cats. Literal thumbnail. Like, come on, that's gold.
I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes.
It doesn't look. It looks more like a Griffhound than it does a cat.
I mean,
I don't know.
If you painted it to look like your cats, then there would be no question.
I'll try. I'll see what I can do. But let's see. I can keep this rolling here. So speaking of Vince Venturella, Vince and Adam from Tabletop Minions put out a model agnostic game recently, Reign in Hell. So model agnostic, meaning you can use whatever models you want for this game. So similar to all the World War II games, or similar to Frostgrave or Stargrave, right? Stargrave, so.
Yeah, I think so. Sounds right. There are many.
There are many, but they're reaching my consciousness more and more, and I'm really liking the idea. So in the last couple of days I've just been looking through all my unpainted models here, and like, could this be a demon? Because Reign in Hell is about making a little war band of 7 to 10 demons, and it's got kind of a similar thing to Frostgrave, where I think in Frostgrave you have your mage and your mage apprentice, and then just soldiers and followers that help them out. Anyway, in Reign of Hell, you'll figure it out. You'll figure it out.
We'll put up a picture right here.
We'll see if it happens. Yeah,
that's true. I have no idea if we'll even be able to get a picture. Sorry if there isn't one.
Could just be a picture of Arnold Palmer, and no one. Yeah, we won't know. We have no control over.
I won't know. Yeah, exactly, none.
But Reign in Hell. So you got your leader, your like demon leader, who's trying to make the most of his I don't know, situation in hell. He's got plans.
Right.
And then he recruits a devout, like a second in command to really get stuff done. Like you get your Emperor and your Darth Vader characters, and then just you fill the rest of the list with demons. So
right.
Anything can be a demon. So I've been looking through Yeah, I've been looking through my pile of unpainted minis, and there are so many things I could use. And actually, one I'm really tempted to do is just use that stupid Yeti figurine of me. So Art Still in Games,
just about 3D
to say, printing studio. Yeah. They put my face on a Yeti figurine, and depending on how you base that, that's a demon in hell. That's obviously a leader.
Yes.
Yeah. And there are so many minis from 3D printed companies from everywhere that can be demons.
Lots of them with your face on it. And having a warband of Brents, I think, sounds like the best use of your time.
Yeah, living the dream, Casey. Living the dream.
Just a demon army of Brents. Remember, if you base them like they're demons, it counts. It's all the same.
Well, I mean, like, orcs are actually pretty good demons. Yeah. Anything that's a little bit monstrous, and Adam has been making the point that demons in different cultures can be almost anything, and they're tricksters. They take different forms, and I mean, chaos in general is chaos. The forces of hell are there's supposed to be a lot of diversity there, all kinds of crazy monsters. Yeah. So,
I mean, even in my own collection, I'm like just looking around the room. I've got just an asinine amount of models that could easily be considered demons. So, yeah. And even then, it's model agnostic. You could literally just use goblins if you wanted.
Certainly could.
You can.
There's an option.
That's the whole point.
There's an
just
option.
Goblins. Demon goblins. Yeah. I like that. I like that about a lot of games, a lot of newer games that are coming out. They're like, look, we don't care. We want you to buy this sweet set of rules because it's good. It's fun. It's fast paced. It's whatever, I haven't read through those rules. I imagine they're pretty good. Those dudes know how to play games, and, they worked around the gaming industry for a long time. So, I'm looking forward to trying some games of that.
Yeah. Yeah. They've written games before. I think they've both worked on games before. They both played a ton of games. I think this is their first project together, but yeah, from what I've read of the rule book, and I've read some of it so far, but it looks good.
Brent read a rule book?
Yeah, no promises on whether or not I'll finish reading that rule book. That's really not me, but I do like when a game just gives you the motivation to get excited about painting up some minis. It offers just a framework for you for, I'm going to get, these 8 minis together, and I'm going to paint them up to look like demons and base them all the same, and wonderful.
I think there are 2 types of games, right? There are the games that are like this, where it makes you excited to want to go out and find something to paint, or the minis that come with the game are so good that you want to go out and paint them. I think the benefits on the first one outweigh, because it also means that I can use painted minis that I already have. So it's like you get this kind of like double option with games like that, like model agnostic in general. And it's just like, it has a feel good kind of thing. You can just get right to it, because nobody actually wants to play with gray plastic. Like, you don't. It's like, I don't know. You'd think it would be fine, but it's just not fun. I can't do it.
No. And I do not play anywhere near as much as I paint. And so even if I never play this game, like just the excitement of putting together a little team so that I could one day. And I had fun reading through the, how to construct your cabal. And I've been having fun scheming about, what model could be what. And Rain in Hell. Check it out.
Adepticon 2022. Why don't we sit down and play a game of this game?
I'm down.
Yeah.
I bet we could, harass either Vince or Adam into playing with us too.
I imagine we probably could, yeah.
We'll start sending aggressive texts now, and by the time Adepticon
call them both out right now.
Yeah, if they don't
can
have
you
restraining
come over
orders
to our
out,
hotel room and teach us how to play this game?
Mm-hmm.
Because Brent obviously didn't read the rule book, so
Yeah, as it is, I always need to play with somebody who has read the rule book. Yeah,
I'll do it. I will. I'll do it. Don't worry about it.
I appreciate you, Casey. Yeah.
we got a lot of games to catch up on here. I have a lot of rule books I got to read already. Like, come on now.
That's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of rule books, I did pre-order the Kickstarter for the new skirmish game from Creature Caster. I got in on the ground floor on that. It wasn't too bad actually, expensive wise. The models look really cool. Obviously they hit their goal pretty quick because it's Creature Caster. They generally do. But I'm looking forward to that. They got, I think it's 32 mil scale models. So they're smaller. They're not the gigantic, display models that they generally do. Although I think they have options for both in the game. It's a weird thing, but I like that idea of they're doing kind of the same thing. Like that you can just use smaller models and play this skirmish game that they came up with. So looking forward to that in 2024, whenever it comes out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so speaking of Creature Caster, man, they've got some models for Rain in Hell, I'm telling you.
I bet that, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They definitely have the demons on lockdown, for sure.
So last year I bought their Canadian special Canuckamera.
Yes.
The Canadian Chimera with it's got the beaver coming out of the stomach, and it's got a big angry moose head, and its tail is somehow a Canadian goose, and it also has a little friend, which is a flying beaver around. They both have stubby little wings, and so there are definitely characters in Rain in Hell that are supposed to fly, so...
Okay. Sweet.
A lot of great options there.
Oh, an entire army, or a warband of just little wee nurglings. Yeah. Ooh. Some of those got little wings. Ooh. Yeah. They're all demons. I love that. That sounds like my kind of warband.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to do that. Dibs.
Dibs. Sometimes I forget what dibs we call and what dibs we forget to call, but...
So far, like canonically on this podcast, Dark Eldar, dibs. And now I'm calling dibs on the Nurgling warband for Rain in Hell.
Seems fair.
It's definitely fair. So I got one other thing that's a little strange before we get to the main topic of this episode. I think we can talk about this for a sec, but I bought Magic cards the other day. I don't know. I know you're pulling it out. I knew it. Friggin' what Dragon Shields for your Magic cards is. Yeah. So I was at a Target and I saw a bunch of Magic cards because I don't know the full story about this, but did you know that Target and Walmart are discontinuing selling of any kind of sports cards or Pokemon cards? I don't know what the deal was. I should have looked it up before actually even mentioning it. Something happened, and they're like, we're never selling these cards again. But Magic cards somehow didn't get that cut. So, like, the shelf at Target was triple the size. I don't know what happened, if Wizards was, like, actually on top of their game, and they're like, no, we got to fill that space. This space is open. Retail space doesn't come open like that too often in big chains.
Right.
So they took their opportunity or whatever, or somebody that worked there was like, all right, it's a magic shelf now, whatever. Cats. And there were just an asinine amount of magic cards.
Really? And were there more types of products than normal?
Yes.
Really?
So they had unhinged sets. But like the newer ones, they had a bunch of boxes of those. They had a bunch of fat pack boxes. They had all the regular draft stuff, regular booster packs of like 15s. They had the special edition 12 card packs of the newest set that are like, the pull rates are higher, some other stuff, whatever. So I got 2 of those, and I ended up making like $40.
Very good.
It's like it happens every single time. I'm like, I'm out of magic. I look at it, I'm like, I'm not going back. And then what happens? I make a bunch of money. And then I'm like super tempted to go back, and I have to keep telling myself, no, I can't do that. Gotta buy Warhammer models. Can't buy magic cards. It's a dark hole. And now here you are with your dragon shields, ready to play some magic, I assume, because there's no other reason you buy dragon shields.
Yeah.
What's up?
I like Dragon Shield matte. I find they shuffle really nice. They last a long time. They're durable. Dragon Shield matte, not the original, the matte ones.
Oh, the matte. Yeah, they look cool.
They look cool. Shiny. But yeah, the front face is clear and slick, but the back face is kind of matte. And that mismatch in textures means that they slide past each other really well. Like with the originals, where it's kind of like shiny on both sides. For whatever reason, those are a little bit harder to shuffle, I find. Maybe stick together a little bit more.
They feel like they get suction-y, right?
Yeah.
Like weirdly, yeah. Or like staticky, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah. But before the pandemic, I was enjoying some Commander with my friends, and I'm hoping to get back into that. So I think we're all vaccinated. All right. We're starting to text each other like, yeah, we should hang out one of these days. And so I'm trying to accelerate that a little bit. Like I added to the text chain today, like, yeah, we should hang out one of these days. I bought some dragon shields, got some new deck protectors. So I think that's going to happen. And
well, that sounds fun.
Yeah. I haven't actually bought any Magic cards for a year, and I feel pretty good about that. I've got enough here for now. I'm sure once I actually play some games, maybe I'll get a couple of singles to round out some decks or whatever. And of course, somewhere on the horizon, supposedly, is Warhammer Magic cards, and I'll probably just use that as an excuse to crack open a box and just make a stupid video on Goobertown Hobbies. But
I mean, that's the thing, right? It's on the horizon. We know that's on the horizon. And it's just one more thing. And isn't it just alternative art for the cards anyways? It's not actually like a Warhammer set.
I have no idea. I haven't read any more up about it. Yeah.
It's, as far as I know, it's the art on the cards. Like some of them are just Warhammer art that fits the theme of whatever the card is.
Fantastic.
I mean, it sounds cool. Like, don't get me wrong. But, that. Come on, man. Like, that's one of those things for sure that's going to pull me back in, I imagine.
We'll work on that addiction.
Right.
But
one at a time.
Collectible prices in general have been going up, and I saw those news articles too about the fact that sports cards and Pokemon cards were no longer being sold at Target, and I was kind of like trying to every like title of those articles I saw, I'm like, I'm not seeing them list Magic here. It's kind of weird that they say sports and Pokemon, but yes, apparently some values have been going up high enough during the pandemic where people are, getting a bit loopy and speculating on these items. And it's interesting that Magic, I think Magic prices have gone up, just not that much. Not to that degree, not to the
no one has been able to play physical actual Magic, really. Like, I don't know why they would go up. It actually makes no sense. Because the supply should be huge for every set. People aren't buying them. It's not like the supply is, you know what I mean? It seems weird. Even for Pokemon or like just baseball cards. Why?
Yeah, I think I've seen this somewhere, but like all collectibles, people have been getting more interested in. There was, the example 6 months, a year back of some big YouTuber pulling a Charizard out of a pack worth like, $100,000 or whatever. And there was.
Excuse me? Do I need to start playing Pokemon?
No,
that's been since like
but
97?
no, I think there's been a little bit of a rush on it, and then you got your Wall Street bets, like people just getting interested in speculating in general, and so I think that's all kind of culminated to a bit of a rush. But I
feel like that might be artificial though.
When I go on eBay, every once in a while, I'll look up the price of Star Wars customizable card game booster boxes, and those have been going up steadily too. Like
sure,
and those are 20.
I mean, they're old, yeah.
Maybe 25
They
years
came out
old, yeah.
in, man, like, when was I 12? I can't even remember. Like, it was a while back, so.
They're 20 to 25-year-old boxes, and as of a couple of years ago, they had a pretty stable and pretty reasonable price, but they've gone up a lot over just the past couple of years, which is interesting to see, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, hey, if you still have boxes of that game.
Not unopened. Yeah.
Not unopened, no. Of course not. Like, why would you? I actually have like 3 or 4 booster packs, not unopened, they're opened. But they're in pretty good condition in a box in my garage somewhere.
Nice.
Like, I never played, but I did buy them.
Nice. So yeah, I played the Star Wars customizable card game a lot as a child.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple of years ago, my parents were moving and going through boxes, and they found a starter deck of Star Wars cards that they had bought for like Christmas for me or something when I was 12. And they gave those, and they gave, it's just a starter box to me. And the starter box had, like, I don't know, 100 cards in it or something like that. Maybe only 60. But and I was able to like not open it for about a year, but a year or two ago I finally like snapped and then had to open it. But I pulled out a black border Luke Skywalker. Like,
all right,
those things only had 2 rares in them. I'm just like, I can't remember like where the rares are in this type of pack. I think they're on either side of the little rule book that comes in it. But let's see here, like, oh, black bordered Luke Skywalker. Okay, yeah, that's the rare. That's a rare one. Yeah. I know that.
Is it worth money these days?
Maybe $50. I don't know. Not
That's
money.
Not bad. That's not bad for a card. I mean, look, for a piece of paper, that's not bad.
No, it's not bad. Yeah.
It's not bad.
But, of course, if I wanted to just go on eBay, I could, that little starter box is funny because it has a story of like my parents were doing Christmas shopping and then forgetting about like one of the little items. But,
right.
But if I wanted to, I could buy those packs for, I don't know, probably $20 or something like that. I mean, not even now, not ridiculously expensive or anything, but just kind of funny.
Right.
All right, we've talked enough about customizable cards for now, I think.
For now, I think so.
Well,
you're probably right.
Table this for now. Yeah. What else has been going on? What else you got?
Well, I got a cool hot tip in the other day. Something I didn't know about. So, some of my paint bottles, my inexpensive paint bottles that I got off Amazon, have cracked at the top. Like, just around the lid, right? Like, in the most GW fashion that you can think. Threatening my Games Workshop paints once again. And so somebody on YouTube left a comment on my channel, and they're like, oh, don't you know that if you contact Vallejo, because they just assumed they were Vallejo bottles, Vallejo will send you a replacement cap for free for your paint bottle. I haven't technically looked into this, but that's a weird claim to make. It sounds pretty sweet, though. Like, they'll just straight up replace the top of your paint bottle if it breaks.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Man, my heavy brown from Vallejo, the nipple's been missing from that for a year or two now. I have no idea where it is, but I think I can get old Alex Vallejo on the phone and see if he can send me over a little plastic nipple. We'll see.
I bet he would.
We'll see.
I bet he would. It's worth a shot.
Worth a shot, yeah. All right. So you got that going for you. What else? I don't know. I don't have a great hot tip today. I've been painting a whole lot of skeletons, and I did make an absolutely goofy contraption for painting and priming minis, but I've got some lengths of angle iron here, which is kind of an alternative to putting models down on a stick or whatever. And yeah. So for priming, you know, Games Workshop has a ridiculous stick with like a bunch of rubber bands on it. Nah.
Are you making fun of me?
Yeah, I know you've been using it and you like it, and that's fine, that's good. But I'm telling you,
to be fair, I got it for free, so yeah, like I like it a lot more.
Angle iron is where it's at. Yeah.
Now, okay, but you magnetized the stick and all the models, right, to put that angle iron together?
The models, these models are actually on Blue Tack. Okay. But if most of my other models are magnetized, so even better. Yeah. But even better, this is one of those examples of your place of work having a really good trash can. So this is one day I just found like a stack of angle iron next to the trash. Like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with this, but I took it, and 3 years later, wonderful priming sticks. So.
Right. 3 years later. Oh, you're bringing me back to like episode 1 of this podcast where you just talked about like, I found this weird crap in a trash can and I made it work. Like, yes. Yeah. I mean, angle iron for sure. Like, that's got to have uses, right? In this hobby, you just see it and you go, that I have to be able to do something with this. There are just certain things like I bought floral wire the other day. I don't know. It just seemed like I could use this.
Like fishing line floral wire, or
no, like floral, like you tie plants up to sticks and do all the you know what I mean? And it's green, so you can't really see it. It's so blendy. Yeah, like I just bought floral wire. It's really thin gauge. And I'm thinking like, well, maybe I can like wrap this around something. It'd be like a rope or I don't know. But it's stupid stuff like that. But you see it and you're just like, this can be used for the hobby. I must keep it. And here you are 3 years later.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to go with your gut. You can trust your instincts on a lot of things.
Yeah.
I am enjoying the image of you at the shop though, standing in front of floral wire, like, yes. Yeah.
With a really stupid face on going, I know I can use this. That same trip I bought, I don't know, probably 50 square blocks of varying sizes because I have no idea when, but I'm thinking that could stack kind of interesting to make like a weird alien base or I don't know, just blocks in general.
I mean, depending on what size they are, they could be a plinth, paint them black and mount a mini on it.
They're pretty small. Yeah. You build all sorts of stuff out of them, but they look cool. Sure. Yeah. So I don't know, just random weird crap like that though. Like I just have in a drawer. Just have wooden blocks in a drawer for no reason.
Yeah.
Floral wire.
Yeah. You're not a hoarder if you find a use for that stuff within a couple of years.
I what's the statute of limitations on that? I don't know.
I don't know. We may have to change it for some items if it takes us a little while longer to think of something. But if you eventually think of like a pretty cool use, you're not a hoarder. You're
the funny thing is,
you're thinking ahead.
I've had this floral wire for a good year.
You'll find a use.
Just happened to be gardening the other day, and I found the actual use for it. And I wired up some plants to a trellis. I did that.
Nice.
Yeah, so it was like, I have floral wire. My wife's like, well, what are you talking about? I was like, I have some. I will go get it. And I did. And I used it. Yeah, haven't found a good hobby reason yet, but it's useful.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, I got one more thing to mention here. Another project I'm working on is the Pride Month Fabulous Marine. So there is a group of mostly Twitch streamers who for June Pride Month are painting up Marines as rainbow warriors or otherwise fabulous in some way, and they're tying that to a I guess a donation drive for the Trevor Project, which is a suicide prevention hotline for young people. So that's all good. So for the month of June and possibly beyond, check out Twitch, especially for Fabulous Marines 2021, I think is the tagline there, or the hashtag. So I will also be putting out a video hopefully kind of soon to reinforce that. But yeah, if you like to watch Twitch while you're doing some painting, try to give the artists doing the Pride Month thing a little extra attention this month. So
sweet.
Yeah.
So are you going to be streaming on Twitch, or are you just going to be making a video?
We'll see.
I say just making a video. Yeah. It's like it's a shitload of work, but whatever.
Yeah, I've got a really fun project for that video. I've got an old Inquisitor model, so the 54mm Inquisitor game, and it had at least one like Space Marine Inquisitor character who they actually scaled up appropriately for that game. So he's not just 54mm, he's like, I don't know, 70 or whatever. He's like...
I have that model in my drawer right now.
Do you really? Okay.
I do, yes.
He's, I looked him up in the book. He's Artemis, and my model came from the Chris Price collection, and he was missing a head and his hands. And so I've got...
Really?
And so I actually had a lot of the Inquisitor model. Some of them complete, and then some of them were just missing random bits. And so like, what am I going to do with these? But you save them, you think about what to do with them, then you learn that 3D printing is a thing, then you print out a beaky helmet and some power fists, and it will all work out.
That is seriously, I don't know. That's my favorite thing about 3D printing. Honestly, hey, like, hands down, you're just like, I've had this model sitting around. I have no idea what to do. Oh my God, I just print it out. Done, fixed, all done. I have a brand new model. It's like freaking amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is turning out to be a fun project, and yeah, maybe that'll inspire me to take another look at the other half complete Inquisitor models I have in that bag. But
right, that's a sweet rescue project you got there. Though.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
So yeah, from that collection, Eisenhorn himself went to Nin John and got painted up by John, and
right, yeah.
A few of the other Inquisitors are in my Goobertown roulette box somewhere, and
nice.
I drew the robot dog a few months ago.
Oh yeah.
But a lot of the others are still in that box, and then some more of them are still in bits, and maybe I'll 3D print just a couple of replacement parts and have some more big old Warhammer models.
You know what you need to do? Here's what you gotta do. You gotta have a separate roulette bin that's just parts and pieces, right?
Ooh.
So you got your other Inquisitor models, you got your bits, just a bunch of random crap, and then you just go, okay, I have no idea, don't know what it is. Either you're gonna like 3D print some stuff, you're gonna kit bash something, you're gonna do something, you're gonna rescue a model, you're gonna save it, you're gonna make it new. It's gonna be amazing. You have no idea what it is. Maybe I should just do that myself. I don't know. That seems stupid.
Yeah, do it. your inspiration bin. Go for it.
There you go. Yeah. My pile of opportunity. I love how there are some people who've taken that on, and I really am just talking about a pile of shit. Like, that's what it is, literally. I just want to point that out. POO. It's better when you say pile of opportunity, though.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah.
All right, we ready for the main topic of the day? Have we?
I think so. Now that we've hit that low note.
No, don't do that to yourself, Casey.
I was gonna make another joke. I'm not going to. Anyways, all right. So the main topic of today. Did you get this from somebody else? Is that what happened?
No, this popped into my mind.
Somebody told you about this? Popped in your mind. Okay.
And I can tell the story if you want.
I love the stories. Yeah, tell the story.
Okay. So Last week, for the first time in really too long, I went to the dentist. And, I was a little bit overdue before the pandemic, and then, pandemic happened, and look, I got there eventually, and that's the important thing. But having the typical kind of lame discussion with the dentist, oh, what do you do for a living? And, yeah. I'm still trying to figure out how to answer that question, but I just came out and said I'm a YouTuber. I'm a YouTuber. And
shame, ring the bell. Shame.
Yeah. But interestingly, I got like a really positive response. They're like, "Oh, that's the best answer I've ever had to that question." Normally, people just say they're an accountant or whatever, and like, "Oh,
of course they do." Yeah.
Right, yeah, cool. How's that going for you? Yeah, all right, all right, yeah.
Yeah, like the instant, like, yeah, that's cool. Yeah. How's that working out for you, buddy?
That's great. That normally comes with dental insurance. That's awesome.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's their backup. They know.
Right.
YouTuber, they're like, how are you going to pay for this, Brent? Like, do we need to not tell him? Like, he has no cavities. You're clean, Brent.
No, I had already answered, like, no, I do not have dental insurance, like 3 times before they let me see the dentist.
Right, yeah.
But, yeah.
For real.
They made sure my address was a real place in case they needed to hunt me down and hand deliver the bill. So yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, no. Telling essentially a stranger what you do for both a living and a hobby, and they were actually interested. And then the next question was, oh, can I see some of these things? Like, can I see what you work on? And
what do you do?
What do you do? So in my case, I pulled up my Instagram real fast and, kind of chronologically ordered, some stuff, and I showed him some of my more recent posts on Instagram. But it got me thinking about this question of what do you do when somebody says like, oh, somebody who's passingly interested has shown just a spark of interest in what is your hobby. What are these minis that you paint? We all have a lot of minis. Some of them are painted well, some of them are not well painted. But if somebody asks you like, what do you do? Like, what is the one picture you show them, or what are the like 3 or 4 or 5 pictures that you show them? Essentially, what is your portfolio? What is your like shortlist portfolio to explain this hobby? To explain you as an artist, and to make people respect what you do in your off time, or get people interested in it, or whatever. And I think that's a really interesting place to start a conversation. So Casey, do you have a portfolio of your minis?
Technically, I do, because well, okay, so Instagram has, for a long time, been my portfolio. And specifically, it was for commission painting, which makes sense. You have a portfolio, you kind of give an idea of your work, what level you're capable of, how you paint things in general, so that people go, oh, I would like what you have, and they pay you money. Sounds good. So I've used Instagram mostly as a portfolio. I don't post as much as I should because it's like I have a good variety on there. So I felt for a long time, it's kind of like, well, here, I've got some work, and if I feel like there's a piece that I want to add to my portfolio, something that I'm really proud of, I will post it. Like the other day, I finally posted my Vlad von Karstein on my Instagram.
Yeah.
And I felt really good about that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I use Instagram. And if anybody's ever asked and they've asked to see something, Instagram is my go-to because I put the stuff that I actually think this is worth showing to somebody. This shows somebody who, even if they don't know what it is that I do, and more so that in most of the posts that I make on Instagram, either I do a 360. So I have pictures that go 360 degrees. But the very last picture on a lot of my posts are the model before. So either gray plastic or jacked up, like messed up eBay model, right? So that you can see that transformation, and it's way easier to explain. I bought this for used or for whatever, blah, blah, blah. I fixed it, repainted it, sold it, did whatever with it. So that is kind of my go-to. Yeah.
That's really interesting to curate your Instagram account of not wanting to fill it up with filler, I guess. Really curating it so that every entry is a story that you want to tell, essentially.
Right. Yeah. And when it comes down to it, that's what a portfolio, specifically like a professional portfolio, is. It's a collection of things that show ideas or your personality in some way, or just the level that you're capable of to a prospective client, right? That's literally what a portfolio is made for. So that's kind of how I treated it for a long time. Not so much anymore, because I don't do commissions anymore, but right. I don't know, it's kind of hard. It's all like a hard habit to get out of too.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, my Instagram is some mini photos and then cat photos and then me making a stupid face for some stupid reason. It's a variety channel. It's meant for social media posts and making sure that I reminding the Instagram followers that I'm still around once a week and that sort of thing.
Do you only post like once a week, or do you post like a few times?
It depends. It's not regular, but when I'm in the mode, I'll post once a day for 3 days in a row, and then forget about it for a month, and okay. Which I think is still probably more than you post, maybe, but I don't know.
It is, especially recently, yeah.
So yeah, when the dentist was like, "Oh, can I see some of these?" Like, yeah, okay. And so I guess I got some on my Instagram. Pull out my Instagram, and the most recent picture was me painting up a Roman soldier, a legionary, which is I did a decent paint job on it. This was actually, I didn't mention it, but I did a little convention a week or so ago. There was the Maine Historical Wargamers Association normally does a convention at this time of year, and obviously not happening this year, but they did an online variant. So I taught a little class for 3 folks. It didn't do much teaching. It was more hanging out and painting, but we did some Roman soldiers, and that was all well and good. And so that was the most recent post on my Instagram when the dentist was like, what do you do?
I paint soldiers.
But yeah, so, but, I was thinking about it, when somebody asks, like, if you could show them one picture, what should that be of? Like, what are you most proud of? What best shows, what this hobby is? And I was kind of thinking, like, maybe I should take the time to specifically for a portfolio paint up a wizard and a dragon and a Marvel character or something like that.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Something a little more recognizable, maybe.
Or like a Game of Thrones, but actually modeled on the actors for Game of Thrones, or I don't know.
They have them, yeah.
Yeah, something a little bit recognizable, maybe. And just, I wonder if I just show like 3 pictures of power armor, if they're like, what is that? Is that
right? What the hell are you talking about?
Is that kind of like if someone asks you what your favorite books are and you just list off 3 anime graphic novel things, or I don't know.
Right.
Like you should put a little diversity in there if you're talking to the dentist. Put a little.
Yeah, well, and I suppose it just depends on who you're talking to, right?
A little bit, but I don't know. I enjoy this idea of thinking about if you are to represent your hobby in just a few pictures, what would those pictures be? And again, partially to show off your skill and your passion and everything, but also to represent, what this hobby is. I had a somewhat different experience, but last year at some point I talked to Jazza a bit online. We talk to Jazza every once in a while, and were chatting a little bit, and he typed out like, "Hey, show me like some of your best paint jobs. What do you think are your best paint jobs?" I'm like, "Whoa, that's a weird question."
There you go.
And I think I sent him a picture of like Brent as a Yeti or something, but
that was a sweet paint job. And you're like, and that's my face. That's right. You too, Jazza, could have this Yeti with my face on it.
But no, it's a really useful thing to have a folder of stuff that you're really proud of and willing to share, and you're ready to go photos. If somebody does ask that question. Yeah. Or if you are really curating a blog or an Instagram page or whatever, having those stock images of your work, your portfolio, really handy thing to have around for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it all depends on the, again, like the intent behind it. Like, obviously if you're trying to sell your work, like you're gonna be a little more specific about that. If you're hoping, if somebody asks you, then you're like, okay, well, I'll try and fill this with some of the stuff I like more. That way it's easier to wade through maybe some of the social media stuff. Or, just having a favorites folder on your phone with that kind of stuff. Like I've actually done that too. Like I have a favorites folder on my phone that has like multiple shots and some video, where I don't necessarily put that on Instagram, but it's a little more in depth. I can kind of zoom in and out at will, which you cannot do on Instagram. It's a pain. I've always hated that so much. But I have like a mini kind of side portfolio just in case, Nice. So it's also like where I preload my Instagram. So it's got a lot of stuff like, okay, when I feel like I'm going to post something, like it's been in there, okay, I'll throw that up now. So it's like a waiting room for my Instagram. But it's like I know that the stuff that's in there is stuff that I'm not necessarily going to have to like look through and be like, oh, well, what's my favorite? What are they going to like? Yeah. It's just like, here, I'll just hand you my phone. You can go through this entire album and I don't have to think about it. Like you kind of get the idea. I've never gone so far as to be like, well, I painted an obvious wizard or an obvious dragon and that's what I do. Because I think it's too deep for that in some cases. Like I painted a giant silver and white like spider monster. Like I don't know how to explain that to you without showing it to you, So I don't know. There's certain things that feel more impressive like that. Even if you can't explain it to them, it's not a dragon. It's a spider with a stingy tail, but it looks cool. Look at it.
Yeah, I was actually more of thinking that I should have more generic stuff in my portfolio. I was actually thinking like I should almost paint a dragon for the express purpose of having it as one of my main photos in a portfolio.
I think if you're trying to sell yourself as a miniature painter for hire, 100%. Because you're saying, I know how to paint a dragon, this very
people like dragons,
stock fantasy thing that you know of, like that you can envision. So when you see it, it's like it's showing your technique, right? It's going, well, I picked out these scales and look how well this eye was done, or like how realistic the membrane on these wings look, right? Like you're saying different things with your piece. And even if it's not your best paint job, it's like I'm showing you things with my portfolio piece that convinces somebody of something, right? So for that reason, 100%. For I think just showing somebody, I think the craziest, dumbest thing you can show them, like, show them the Yeti. Show them the Yeti, Brent. Be like, oh, that looks like me, right? Yeah. It's because this company made this with my face on it.
It's cool. That one. So my portfolio right now often is that stupid Yeti. Often
it is really good. The skin tones on that Yeti are sweet.
There's some green Space Marines I did a while back that are kind of in my portfolio, and then maybe like one of my yellow Chaos Knights or something.
Those for sure
tend to be kind of high on the list, but Yeah, no, I'm still not satisfied with it. I feel the desire to paint something specifically for that purpose. Because
Okay.
I don't know, a lot of times when I'm doing a paint job that, ends up as a YouTube video, I do a pretty good job. Or, I put, I don't know, maybe 10 hours for a bigger mini, maybe like 10 hours of painting time into the mini and make a decent video out of it and move on to the next thing. But I've mentioned this before on the podcast, but it is very common for me to stop painting at the point where I say, oh, this looks pretty good. Hey, not bad. We'll put a base rim on that and call it good and move on to the next thing. But for the purpose of a portfolio, it might be worth it to take out some of those old models again, put another couple hours of work on them, really finish them up nice, and then really take some excellent photographs of them. But yeah, I haven't been really trying to sell myself with photos at all. It's been more about like hanging out in the videos is what Goobertown is about. But
for sure,
yeah, I would love to have a folder of like 10 projects that I really love that. Maybe some of them individually tell a story about me as a painter and about this hobby, but certainly the collection tells a complete story. So,
that's definitely an important
fantasy,
part of a portfolio.
Yeah.
Having a cohesive story.
Yeah, I mean, any one mini, I don't think doesn't tell the whole story. A yellow Chaos Knight. Okay, that's kind of cool. Flip to Green Space Marine. Okay, like I'm getting a little more of an idea. Yeti person. I don't know.
You gotta save the Yeti for last. That's left field.
Sure.
It's got your face on it. You can't just wow them with your face right up front. Can't do that.
But yeah, artists, just in a more general sense, I know spend a lot of time on their portfolios. Like I remember, a lot of friends from high school and college who wanted to do art, would talk about, I need to spend more time working on my portfolio before I can try to get, jobs and gigs or whatever. Because that's a really important part of being an artist for hire, a commercial artist, is having a real portfolio. And I'm sure some people in the comments can leave some notes on that. But
I know we have a few legit artists who listen. So I imagine they've made a few portfolios in their day.
Yeah.
When I was in college, because I was doing graphic communications, both my wife and I were in the program together. I think I mentioned before, I didn't graduate. She did. I stopped and she did not. But one of the last things we had to do, and one of the biggest things for her, especially into getting a job and to really getting out there, was building a professional portfolio. And a lot of what that was is taking our best student work. And there was a class specifically called Portfolio, and it's an entire semester of, all right, let's look at the last however many years you've been in this program, and we're going to pick apart everything you've done, and you're going to redo the better things. And we're going to take the best 10 things you've done, make them better, and then put them in a portfolio. And we had to do physical portfolios where there were like standoffs and like really expensive built-in books where like the binding on the book were these like metal studs that you screwed together and it stacked, and these were like hard pages, right? Like a portfolio you'd actually carry around to an interview of your like most current and best work. And like the program that we're in is one of the most successful in Nevada for like graphic design and that kind of thing. A lot of people have graduated from the school doing that. But the portfolio itself was like a physical printout of your piece with like, and it was this whole thing we had to do. It's like poster board specifically cut to fit in your portfolio with like a plastic layer on top that can be lifted like vellum or something. But each piece had to be cut and then placed. Like we even took a class on how to place paper on a portfolio. like with this special sticky paper that would like transfer. Like nobody does that anymore. They just pull up their Instagram account.
Sure.
You know, like if you're a photographer, you're just like, here's my Instagram. Like that's my portfolio. You can literally just see it.
Sure.
But yeah, like back in the day which I guess kind of dates how old I am a little bit, but you know, like it's crazy, stupid stuff. Not digital.
That is an awesome skill, and that's kind of exactly what we're talking about here. Is picking your 10 best things and making them look their absolute best, and having them ready to show to people at a moment's notice.
Yeah, it's like you literally take it to a job interview. Like if you were going to, let's just say, apply for a job at Games Workshop, like what would you put in your portfolio, and how would you make that look? Like what kind of presentation? Like, are you going to make a PowerPoint? You might. Send them that. You know what I mean? Like flippy page. It's got stuff. I mean, PowerPoint's got sound effects and music these days. So yeah. I'm only being a little facetious, but you know, yeah, like there are lots of things that you can do. And again, it all comes down to the reason why. If you're trying to convince your dentist that Warhammer is badass, like, yeah, like pull up your Instagram and some pictures on your phone. I think it'd be fine.
Yeah, I wish there was an idea. I don't know anything about these social media programs, but if there was like a tab on Instagram for like my favorites of my work, like that would be. There
is.
Okay, all right.
There literally is, yeah.
Yeah, I should look into that. But yeah, that'd be great to be like, here's my Instagram, and here's like, you know, 5 things you should look at. Like, oh, cool. All right, yeah. And like, lean back in the chair now, please. Put these glasses on. Open up.
Don't stab me. Yeah. So your dentist thought it was pretty great, though, right?
Yeah.
Like you got him with your Roman Centurion.
They saw a few pictures on there. Like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. But
okay.
I think the dental hygienist was mostly impressed by how many Instagram followers I had. Like, did I go?
Which is now. What, 20 something, 21,000? Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, something like that.
It's a lot.
yeah, we're getting there. So.
That is quite impressive. So yeah,
pretty cool stuff, Casey.
I mean, it's cool, right? Like it's just this random. I don't know. Like it literally doesn't mean much, like really in the long run, but it's kind of cool. It's just kind of like, look at that. That's crazy.
Well, yeah, it was a different response than I was expecting, honestly, because, you know, for a while, it's what do you do for a living? Like, unemployed, but I spend all my time making YouTube videos. I don't know. What do you want from me? Like,
right.
I used to have a real job. Like, I'm not a loser.
I mean, at least
I'm not a loser.
At least you can back it up and be like, you know, I'm a YouTuber, and they're like, oh, that's great. And you're like, I have a PhD, and they're like, oh. You're fine. Like you got something to fall back on. Like that's how they're thinking about it, right? Like you could just bring that up, but you're fine.
Yeah, but that's still not I mean, what we're talking about here is like easy to communicate answers to introduce yourself, and in that situation, like,
right.
I'm a YouTuber, but at one point I had a real job, and like I'm not a loser. I'm not a loser.
I think they might. Yeah.
And so I've been looking for a way just to say that sentence of
just I'm not a loser.
I'm a YouTuber, but I'm not a loser. I'm not a loser.
Well, I mean, hey, like 20,000 followers on Instagram is certainly nothing to sneeze
at. But yeah,
at.
You know, apparently there is some sort of a threshold where I'm a YouTuber, and there is a threshold of viewership where like people are like, oh, okay, all right, that's cool.
I don't know what that is though.
I don't either. I was. Yeah. But I can tell you where Goobertown Hobbies is right now was somewhat impressive to a dentist and their assistant. So,
all right,
there's a data point right there. Yeah,
like I know some dentists, like they make good money. They like their job.
Yeah. Well, look, I'm gearing up to go to some singles bars. You know, I'll have my Instagram account ready. I'll have my one-liners.
I forgot we were going to talk about this when it came up. Remember, we brought this up. Okay, I don't think you remember at all. But we were going to have an active update of Brent going to bars.
Well, I haven't been yet. Not for a long time.
Oh, I know. But you are vaccinated and ready to go.
Yeah. Well, I just gotta update this portfolio on my Instagram account, and then I think we'll just be good to go. So.
Well, first of all, you need to bust out that calendar pick.
Uh-huh.
That needs to be number 1.
Okay, so that goes in the portfolio. Yep.
Correct. That makes obvious sense. Like, come on. We've shifted. We're not trying to sell paintings anymore. We're not trying to impress. You're gonna singles bars. Okay, That's where we're at. So portfolio got to shift. Just saying.
Yeah. This is my studio. This is Jazza green screened into my studio. Do you know who Jazza is? You don't?
Exactly. Okay. Yes.
He's Australian.
You can be your virtual wingman.
We'll let you know how it goes. Yeah, expectations are low, but I enjoy a good bit of social awkwardness. So
exactly, and why not?
Why not? I'm not a loser.
Anyways, I think we got some other things to share. That was a pretty good main topic. I feel like that wasn't too long, wasn't too short.
Nailed it
just right.
Yeah, Matt's gonna get just a really good thumbnail or something.
I put together them.
Better let Matt take a second crack at it. After you're done, just like he does with the rest of the podcast. Yeah.
It's true. The last thumbnail, I was a little disappointed. I didn't come across as good as I'd hoped. No, not like some of the other ones. Although I'm not sure what to do, if we need to go crazier or just more clickbait or what it is. I don't know, something. I like the thumbnails. I think they're hilarious. But
maybe people have just figured out they should not listen to this podcast.
It's possible.
Maybe people are
bright orange.
Maybe people are starting to ask the question, why am I listening to this podcast? They're starting to ask each other, why are you listening to this podcast? And maybe they're just not clicking as often. I don't know, Casey.
Oh, I mean, they're still clicking.
Tell your friends about this podcast.
Yeah, give us a share. Give us a share.
Yeah. All right, so well, Casey has done some strategizing. He's done some planning. He's done some scripting and wrote out a little outline here. And we actually have a method of not rambling off until the end of the podcast. We've got a whole nother section to this podcast. So let's go, exactly. Casey. What is this next section called?
I don't want to call it the news because that seems like a bit overdone, and I don't want to be cliche.
Well, we're not talking about newsy news for our goody pee-pees, so I think we're fine. You can call it the news. You can just be a normal human being and say we're going to talk about the news. You can just be a normal human being and say we're going to talk about the news now, the gaming news. So
I think that is very respectful, and I agree. Anyway, so
I do want to say the banner for Miniac's channel, an excellent example of a portfolio. The YouTube banner on Miniac's channel, very good. So
that's a good call, actually. Yeah. It reminds me, I need to change mine out. I'm still using like GW art, and I'm wondering when they're gonna actually tell me to take it down. Any day now. That'll be that's my sign. I've made it when GW sends me a cease and desist to take down the art from my channel. Anyways, in the news, Brent, new Age of Sigmar 3.0 coming out in a new box set called Dominion. Looks sweet as hell. I am super excited for this box, if you can't tell. I know some people don't care for the new stubby-legged orcs, but I cannot wait.
Give them a chance.
Any orc is a good orc. Yeah, give them a chance. Like, I like the Lord of the Rings aesthetic about them. I think they feel a little bit more real. You know, they're still kind of goofy, like especially some of the little guys that they got like these little fat noses and they're like carrying grenades and they're just running right in. They look hilarious. But you know, I don't know. I'm excited.
New orcs
and the Stormcast,
less goofy than old orcs. Well, I'll say that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll give them a chance. I'll see whether or not they can be painted up goofy or not. Either way, the cats are probably going to like to sit in the box. But yeah, some of their faces are just a little more serious than I want to see on my green skins. They're yelling about man flesh and not so much like knocking each other on the head with mushrooms. But yeah, we'll see.
Back on the
we'll
menu.
see. Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know. Seems cool. I'm hoping that what I'm really hoping is that there aren't any of the issues that GW has been plagued with recently, like Indominus issues, Curse City issues. Like, I would hate for a release like this to actually get snubbed. And I mean, they have no reason to, more so on this one. But even then, like, I've seen some comments where they're like, well, our stock will be limited, so hopefully you can pre-order it. And like, that's kind of been their thing, and I'm hoping that's not the case. But we'll see. We'll see. I mean, a lot of the vampire stuff that came out was from Curse City. So if anything, they're just going to split it up into smaller boxes and sell it that way. So
yeah, no, I'm still bitter about the way they released Curse City for sure. Or the way they canceled Cursed City without acknowledging that they canceled Cursed City.
Still haven't, by the way.
Yeah, so that's not great. But with AOS 3.0, I'm pretty sure that all of the stuff in that box is going to be available for the next 3 years until they release AOS 4.0. So I don't know
that first box set.
I haven't been paying close enough attention to know if they're going to repackage it into smaller starter sets or what, but I'm pretty sure all of that stuff is going to be pretty readily available. So even if the big box sells out or whatever, less worried about that just disappearing forever.
Right. Like they're definitely backing it with a lot, including their new like Netflix app with content. It's like they're taking that new aesthetic, right? That more realistic, true scale. I'm not even sure what you'd call it. Look, like, you know how the Stormcast all look normal. I don't even know how to say it.
I really like the design of the new Stormcast, and that surprised me a lot. For 2 editions, I just haven't cared about Stormcast, except for that one Sequitur with the undercut. But
that's true. Chick was sweet.
That's sweet. But I was surprised. The Stormcast in the AOS 3.0 box, a lot. They changed the look of the armor. They got I don't know, a little bit smaller, I guess, a little more form-fitting on the armor. If that makes sense. It's not quite so like bulky and ridiculous. And there's some that look more like Greek hoplites or something. And I was surprised by how much I like the look of the new Stormcast. So I may end up being more excited for those than I am for the Manflesh orcs, the Cruel Boys. See.
Interesting.
See, definitely gonna try to get my hands on one of those boxes and see what's up there.
Oh, for sure. If I don't know, like, I think we're far enough out, even when this podcast comes out, I think we're far enough out that, like, look, if you're planning on, even if you're interested in this box, like, just start saving some money. It's going to come out in the next month or so. Like, don't be one of those people that sits back hoping it's just going to be there when you have cash. You have to be purposeful. You have to save for it if you want it. It's like, I waited, like, when Curse City was a thing and they're like, here's the date. I put it in my calendar. I got a notification literally 20 minutes before the presale went up. I went on eBay and I kept refreshing until a box popped up and I bought it for $50 less than MSRP. It's like, there's really no excuse. If you want the box, get the box. Just saying.
That's the most reliable way to do it. I'm not going to feed the flames on the crazy fear of missing out marketing, but I mean, on an individual level, like, yeah, you're probably right, Casey. But in the meantime, you've got a couple of weeks to decide if you actually want the box. But the same goes for eBay shopping. If you look at a product and you know you want it, you gotta be a warrior and jump on that deal.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Be a warrior.
It applies all around. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just one of those things where one of the bigger things is like, oh, well, it was just sold out so quickly. And it's like, I mean, it is, but if you're 12 hours late, like, sure. I don't know. Like, I've been, I don't know how many times, like, you're online and you're trying to buy a concert ticket and you're hitting refresh. You're hitting refresh, waiting for that to pop up. Right. That just seems like a very normal thing, like in that industry. Right. I've done that countless numbers of times. Like, you know, people want tickets to Burning Man. Like, you got to be in a friggin' lottery these days. Right. Yeah. It's like, it's a whole thing. And I'm not saying I want it to go that way. It sucks. But like, if that's where we're at, we've got to adjust. Right. That's all I'm saying. Yeah.
Again, I don't know if there's news about, you know, smaller starter sets or whatever, or maybe if this Dominion box is going to be the sweet deal the way that Indomitus was, and then the future starter boxes are going to be less of a sweet deal. I don't know.
Yeah.
Keep an eye on the news,
other ones were pretty good. Like, they had the veteran, recruit, and rookie boxes or whatever.
But
like, those are still pretty sweet. Yeah. Which is smaller breakdowns of the large box.
But I don't know. It's the next edition of AOS, so all of the contents will be around somewhere. I'm not too worried about that. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. So I don't know. Pretty excited about that. I'm kind of hoping to pick up a couple of boxes, just because I kind of want, like, both armies, like, to be full. I don't know.
Right.
Like, with the newness. Like, it sounds cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm stoked. I don't know. I haven't been this excited about an army box in a while.
Right. Well, I mean, the issue was the last two Age of Sigmar, if you weren't into Stormcast, I mean, I've seen you paint Stormcast, but you just kind of painted them like a rock and stuck some flock on there. So I don't know if you really loved the experience. Hard to say.
It's, you know, it's funny. I had a dream about that last night. Yeah. It wasn't anything like super exciting, but I dreamt about sitting in my office, like, painting Stormcast, just painting Stormcast, and then, like, getting the blue. Yeah, the Stonecast Marines, right? Yeah, there's a lot of that. And I don't know what prompted that, but just funny you mention it, because, yeah. I don't know. It's just been on my mind, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, I actually did have a really good experience painting that, and that's one of those armies that I now regret not having on me.
Okay.
Like,
okay.
Not that I can't replicate it in literally 19 hours, but whatever.
Yeah. No, well, just being in this hobby, you were saying that you haven't been excited for a box like this for a while, but, you know, just being in this hobby, you're at least vaguely aware of it for 20 years, like, yeah, a new edition of the game normally has a pretty good deal on the models in that box. And it is often the case that you like one or neither of the armies in that box.
Right.
But if the occasion happens where you like both of the armies on that box, that's a good day. And that is something that you wait years to see. So
yeah, it's true.
Apparently we're down to a cycle of every 3 years for a new AOS and every 3 years for a new, 40K. Seems to be the case.
Yeah.
And in that case, every 3 years for your favorite game, you get to see if the good deal box with all the new models is going to have any of the armies you like or not. And that's always fun.
That's true.
What's better than Lizardmen and Bretonnians? Possibly Black Reach. That possibly, but
right, possibly. That's a good point. Black Reach. Yeah. I don't know. I have so many of those models. Yeah.
Sure, but yeah, there's just examples of those starter boxes, and I think both of us could do a pretty good job of listing like what the starting armies were in some of those starter boxes, and you go back and like, oh, Night Goblins versus Dwarves. I could use me some more Battle for Skull Pass. That Battle for Skull Pass, that was where it's at.
I think.
But now if Dominion is the next Battle for Skull Pass equivalent,
man, it feels like it. It actually feels like it, because this new aesthetic for both armies. It's like, I have Iron Jaws, I have Goblins, I have Orcs. This is completely new. Like, it's when AOS 1.0 came out and it was like, the Stormcast Eternals, okay. Like, I'll take a look at that. That looks cool. And like the Khorne stuff looked really good. Right? It's like, that was a really cool starting box. Like, I have painted a ton of that starting box. Like, a ton of it on both sides. Yeah, like that got me back into Warhammer. That box. I mean, how long ago was that? 4 years? 6 years? I don't even know anymore.
Probably 6 years. Yeah.
Holy crap.
That sounds about right. Ish.
Okay, yeah.
I think they've been doing every 3 years.
That's insane. Yeah, it seems like it's been forever since the new edition, but yeah. Well, you were talking about the lizard men, and that brings up another point. I'm wondering if they're also getting a facelift, because the Lord Croak came out on sale this week from Games Workshop, and that is like the space frog on whatever, like some altar that floats around. I literally don't even know. Yeah. I just know that I want it because it's a floating space frog that psychically tells lizards what to do.
That model is awesome.
Yeah.
So if you haven't seen the Lord Croak, I think it's just Lord Croak, but
right. But stupid.
Yeah, it's a toad on a chair floating in the air, and there's stuff swirling around him. And a lot of the new models that Games Workshop's been putting out with a character floating in the air with stuff floating around them looks is not my cup of tea, we'll say.
Yeah, you're talking about like the Lumineth stuff.
Yeah,
like
the Lumineths with like a cow standing on top of another cow who is standing on one foot.
I'm down with like the cow battle suits. I think those are pretty great because they're stupid as hell.
Mm-hmm.
But the dude's like the like fox dude floating around the like spinny robe stuff. Like that's gonna break.
Yeah,
it's gonna break.
Anyway, Lord Croak. I was looking at this model, and one, it actually looks awesome with like all the stuff floating in the air, and two, the way they did it, it seems like there's 2 points of contact for every point that might be a weak link in the chain, and it actually looks more sturdy than a lot of the other stuff because he's got like a circle of crap flying around him, and it's done like, it seems to be done in a clever way that there are 2 connection points at every weak link, and I like that. And for some reason, the stuff floating around him looks cool. So yeah, it's a great model. Cool. I don't, as long as we're speculating, I don't know if they're going to refresh any of the Seraphon line, but the Toad model, like, was in resin. They had a resin version of the old metal kit.
Yeah,
like
the metal kit.
The HQ for that army needed an update.
It's been 30 years or so, whatever. I don't know, that resin kit probably came out like 2005, which is even sadder, probably. So,
yeah, I mean, I think the most of the Seraphon line is from 2007 or something like that. So I mean, it's getting old, but it's mostly in plastic, and it's all right. It's not great. It's all right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have some good stuff, some good plastic models from that line, and they look nice. Look like modern GW.
Yeah, we'll see if they do any more updates, but hey, Lord Croak looks wonderful. I don't have time for Lord Croak, but I wish I did.
That's where I'm at. Like, I looked at the pre-order and I'm like, I think it was like $115, and it's like, okay, that's like the standard price for their larger HQ models. This isn't as big as some of the other ones, but it's like, I can't justify that, right? Like, really. But I want it.
Mm-hmm.
Although I did have this thought that I was thinking that I wonder if it just looks sturdier because it's painted like stone. So it's like, rocks are sturdy. Like it just looks heftier, right? It could be just as fiddly as all the other things.
Instead of a ghostly wisp of ghost cloth. Yeah.
Right. Yes, because there are definitely those models of stupid ghosts that have like, how come there's a beefy ghost thing with a giant axe and all that? Then there's just one wisp that's tied to the ground, and that's what's holding him down. Like
always two wisps.
At least two.
Yeah.
Man. Like I would have a Skitarii army by now if I didn't feel like I'd break it.
You'll break it.
I will break it. And on that note, thank you again for joining us on another episode of Paint Bravely. If you enjoyed this podcast, please help us out by leaving us a review on iTunes, subscribing to the YouTube channel, and sharing this message with your hobby friends. As always, we appreciate each and every one of you for listening, and we will talk to you next time. I just wanted to see Brent really chug that down. I don't know if we're done or not, so I just threw that out there. We cut around that.
Are we done? We done?
I don't know.
I mean, we didn't talk about Warhammer Plus, but we'll do that next time.
Oh, Warhammer Plus. I ran out. Mine's empty. So anyway, it's Lord Croak.
No, we're done with Croak. Unless he's getting a Warhammer Plus special, I think we're done with Lord Croak here.
I mean, hey, you never know. Like, I'd pay for that. So the rumor is, though, that the... are we just going to acknowledge? I don't know. I feel like acknowledging that we just tried to do an outro and then forgot half the crap we were supposed to talk about. So instead of rambling, we ended early. And now we're switching it back. We're just
doing. And I'm going to let Gordon in, but it's all staying in. So you better be talking.
Seems fine. Since you're leaving the camera, I get to talk to people. Yeah. That makes this a fun ending where we don't ramble or anything like that. Even though we said we wouldn't, we are. I wonder if that new Dominion box is gonna be good or anything for the cats to sit in. I think it will be. To get a box review on that one from old Brent. Anyways, the rumor is that the aesthetic changes for the new orcs and the Stormcast are to better suit the animated content that will be coming out for Games Workshop's Netflix style app. Warhammer Plus? I don't know. Is that what it's actually called?
It actually is probably Warhammer Plus, yes.
Yeah, man, Disney Plus came out, killed it, and then Paramount was like, oh, we need to change ours from CBS All Access to Paramount Plus.
Yeah.
And now there's Warhammer Plus. And now there's HBO Max.
Which, yeah, the Warhammer Plus, the naming scheme there kind of makes it sound like a joke. Like it makes it like that.
Yeah. But what is more plus than
it's just because it's following that same formatting. Makes it sound like an onion punchline or something. But yeah,
it's a good point. It does seem a little bit unbelievable, but then again, they have been like low key, not so low key, going around like cease and desist, buying up all the animation in the world for Warhammer. I'm not sure your thoughts about that in particular. I think it's a bit odd, but
Yeah, so I'm
they
waiting
all
to
have
see
jobs now.
I'm waiting to see, what the cost is, what else is associated with membership in Warhammer Plus.
$25 a month, you get one show.
My major, or I don't know, hot take on this is that Warhammer animations are so good for getting new people interested in, Warhammer specifically, but that is a gateway to the hobby of mini painting in general.
Sure.
I was already into Warhammer at the time, but I have really clear memories of like the Dawn of War intro cinematic.
Yes.
Every time there is a really good Warhammer cinematic for like a video game or whatever, like anytime there's a good piece of Warhammer animation, that leaves a mark. And it really is an entry point for, again, a quick thing that you can show to somebody to try to explain what this universe is, what the setting is, why you might get excited about it. So, actually any of the Dawn of War intro cinematics are great.
Yeah.
There was,
those games are sweet.
Yeah.
They were great entry points into Warhammer, because a lot of people were coming straight off of, StarCraft getting a little bit dated. Command and Conquer a little bit dated. Warcraft 3 was like kind of polygon-y, and then all of a sudden Dawn of War is like this slick, sweet game, right? Like that definitely brought me back into Warhammer after not painting Warhammer anymore.
Yeah.
When I was younger.
But it's like a 1-minute cinematic, and if you haven't seen it, look it up now, Dawn of War intro cinematic, but it's a bunch of space marines defending against a bunch of orcs, and it's quick and it's violent, and it actually showcases a lot of the major units from each army. There's a predator tank, and there's a dreadnought, and there's orcs with heavy weapons and orcs with explosives, and you got your tactical marine squad with a variety of weapons, and in just like a minute-long clip, they're all just murdering each other real good, and it's great. It's a lot of fun, and it really shows somebody's concept of what this tabletop game is supposed to be. And so
right.
And sometimes you're watching the animations for Astartes is one of the flagship shows or animation series in Warhammer Plus. And that was great, just a team of 4 or 5 Marines boarding a starship, just murdering all of these traitor guardsmen and killing some chaos sorcerers, and then doing some weird stuff with an orb. It was wonderful. Astartes, as a YouTube channel, as an independent YouTube channel, got millions and millions of views. Which is more than any of our videos get, which means that people outside of the hobby are watching this stuff and enjoying this stuff and getting into it. And so
the reach for Astartes is astounding.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing. And so it is a gateway to all of this stuff. And so I am curious, how expensive it will be to get access to these shows, whether or not there will be clips from these shows like showing up on YouTube, but or how good Games Workshop will be about taking those down.
Yeah, probably pretty good, considering they employed a lot of including the Astartes guy. They're employing these people to make animations,
Yeah, and so I'm skeptical about the business model. I think there will be a lot of nerds who will pay whatever the monthly cost is for at least 1 month to
that's probably fair
on all these animations. But I think there's a real opportunity cost there of expanding the market.
Yeah.
I think it would have been awesome if they could have found a way, like even giving the content to Amazon and Amazon Prime and Netflix and Hulu.
Right. If they partnered with someone else to release that, yeah.
I think that would have paid for. I mean, we're in the business of essentially making free video content. And our costs are obviously way lower than for these animation studios, but getting your word out there as broadly as you can has a lot of value, especially when if people get interested in your universe, they buy expensive plastic toys,
Right.
So I don't know. We'll see what else is included with the Amazon, the Warhammer Plus membership, the Warhammer Prime Plus membership, and
Prime. See, Prime would be Warhammer Prime would be good. Well, I thought GW was in talks with Netflix to do a show with them.
Maybe Eisenhorn. I don't know. That would be great if that came to pass. Yeah.
But if that's the case, then it is possible that to fund a lot of their animation at first, they might go with that kind of like, I don't want to say crowdfunding, like here, pay us $10 a month and you can have access and blah, blah, blah. And then we're going to put it out, right? Because it would feel a little weird, but like it would make sense for them to get the ball rolling, to get the word out, to be like, well, we actually have some things that make sense. And then to spread that out to other places. Because it still feels a little weird to put something like an animated series behind a paywall for something so specific that it's like you're catering to people who already know what it is. Like you've essentially taken one of the largest advertising factors in Astartes, we'll just use that as the example, out of the public realm. And it's behind a paywall. I don't think that's actually true. I think it's just on their community page now.
Right.
But even still, you have to then go to the community page, know about that, know where it is on the community page, and then find it. Like there are barriers to entry now, and you have to already be in the know. Whereas it was organic before, and it would just pop up in your feed, and you'd be like, holy crap, like what is this?
Right, exactly.
And just be into it, right?
Yeah.
So they've done themselves a disservice, and I wonder how they're going to manage to pull themselves out of that kind of large hole that they just dug.
I don't know. Again, we'll see how it goes. I mean, the idea of raising money directly to pay the artists and the talent that are making these things. I mean, that makes sense.
I'm all for that.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, there seems to be a real opportunity cost there with not spreading Astartes absolutely as far and wide as it could possibly go.
Right.
So yeah, no, it seems like your potential customers for Warhammer Plus are a subset of the customers you already have. Warhammer Plus doesn't seem like a way to attract new customers. It seems like a way to get more money out of the customers you already have.
Yes.
I don't know, but more revenue in the very short term, but it doesn't seem like a long-term strategy for growing the business. But, maybe, at first, while they have essentially no content, all of the content is behind that paywall. And then maybe later on, they're able to release some of it for free, the best stuff for free to try to drive interest. Maybe that's the way they do it. And if, Eisenhorn does end up on Netflix or whatever, then that seems reasonable. And again, like, I think most of the series they advertise are fairly short. Like, they were really excited about the Blood Angels one, and they were like, we got 10 episodes of 10 minutes each. Like, okay.
Oh.
So,
okay.
Well, it sounds like a good evening. I'll make a bowl of popcorn. Yeah, it sounds great.
Right. Unless they release it every week.
But even, yeah. So, I mean, animation takes a lot to make. Like I think the Astartes guy was working pretty hard to make 10 minutes of incredible content there.
For years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, that was one guy. So it's like, took him 4 years to do it. Add another guy, it's 2 years, right? Like, theoretically.
Yeah. So my guess is that on release, I don't know, they're talking about like 7 or 8 different shows, different animation styles. Man, I bet like from the release date of Warhammer Plus, within a day, I bet you can watch their entire catalog, which is not the case with Hulu or Amazon or Netflix or anything.
No, not at all. So you got to wonder.
Not only within a day, I bet within like 2 to 3 hours, you could, this is me just guessing here, this is speculation, but I'd be very curious to know the total runtime of content of Warhammer Plus at launch. And maybe they'll do the Disney Plus thing and pad it out with like extended interviews about with the cast and directors of each episode. The Mandalorian
they'll probably do that.
The Mandalorian had like a full extra show of like documentaries of documentaries. You know what I'm talking about.
No, I have no idea because I don't know what that word is.
But yeah, the Mandalorian, for each episode of The Mandalorian, there was, 50 minutes of interviews with the director of that episode where they all just like patted each other on the back for 50 minutes. about
that's true. They sat around a round table and like, man, you are.
I watched like 1.5 of those. So like, oh, this is all this is, isn't it? This is not good.
100%, yes. No, it was a little disappointing. Like they showed a few things. They talked about a few things, of course, because they're going to give you information you don't know. But it was a lot like, oh, and then we have Bryce Dallas Howard here. Oh, you are so good.
Yeah.
So good.
I was like, where have I seen her before? Oh, The Village.
My dad is
The Village
Ron
was
Howard.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah. It was, man, The Village. That's a movie we need to talk about.
We do.
Yeah.
One of my favorite first halves of a movie and worst second halves of a movie. And we'll talk about it, but we're on Warhammer Plus. I don't think The Village is going to be in there.
That's true. I do have a special connection to that movie, though. It's an interesting one.
Okay.
Yeah. Got kicked out of another movie we tried to sneak into and had to end up seeing that one because it was the only thing we could see. So
okay,
I don't know, just like it has a special place.
Memories.
Yeah. When I was like 17, I was 17. It was stupid. I don't know. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm curious. Like, I feel Warhammer Plus is going to have something to pad it out other than, a total of an hour and a half of animations on launch.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's, access to some rules or something like that for existing players. I don't know.
I mean, like how-tos, gameplay stuff.
Yeah, and
like
yeah,
live
I'm wondering
video
if it is just video and film and stuff, like, is it just going to be padded out with, random stuff from the Warhammer community team? Like, just...
That's my guess.
Yeah.
Like their podcasts, they're all video.
Peachy reacts to Astartes. Eddie reacts to Astartes. Wade reacts to Astartes. Adam reacts to Astartes. He got...
Yeah.
There's a solid chance at least one of those actually is like some of the padding things.
Yeah, for sure. I wouldn't be surprised at all. It's just them doing like actually, you know what? I wouldn't mind for like Nick and Peachy to sit around and just do commentary on something. You know what I mean? Like I'd be down for that. It'd be all right. Yeah, I don't know what else they could do though. Like they have to have so much content that they've never talked about in order for this to actually make sense. I feel
right, because they shared a decent number of animation. What was it, like 7 different animated?
Yeah,
and
but even if that's 700 minutes total, that's not a lot.
Maybe they release with a couple episodes of each of those published, and then promising that an extra one of each of those gets published every week or something.
Right.
Still, on launch, like actual story content, I'm guessing less than 2 hours. That's my guess.
Okay. All right. I'll benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, and we're recording this like a month before we know for absolute sure. Like, it's coming out in July. True. We're recording in June at this point.
We could be
all of you listening in the future.
Stardies.
We'll know how wrong we are. But yeah, my guess is like 2 hours of actual content with the promise of an extra, like maybe half an hour every week, and then plus filler. And
plus,
I think it's possible that some of that filler is like access to online rules or something, maybe. But I think most of the filler is going to be they sit Peachy in front of a TV and
just
sit in front of a TV with like 3 cameras on him. And
oh my god, you know what it's going to be? It's going to be him next to a fireplace reading Black Library novels. Yeah,
actually,
that's gonna happen.
You know what? I did actually hear that speculation somewhere. If
seriously,
no. The if there was like access to audiobooks for Black Library or something like that, they actually have
that changes things.
They actually have a ton of that content. Or if they've taken like a few series that never did get made into audiobooks and just I mean, it's pretty hard to do a full audiobook as someone like reading in front of a fireplace. I'm pretty sure those things have a lot of cuts and edits in them, but
oh yeah,
I think that has to be
doing audio like
has
that,
to be mostly audio, yeah. But
yeah.
But one way they could pad it out in like a very reasonable way that I'd appreciate is if they did have like a bunch of audiobooks from Black Library. I think that'd be a solid move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's certainly possible.
Of course, I mean, Audible has most of them, and they're
that's true. In fact, I just bought one.
Well and truly owned by Amazon. I don't know how that business works, but
actually, that's a good point. So Amazon does sell on Audible a crap load of Black Library. So maybe it was Amazon that was going to put out a Warhammer series at one point. So that's still a possibility. They might end up doing that for the to get the stuff into the public. I don't know. So it's really hard to say. We're just speculating.
So the reason we're talking about this so much is that it's really interesting and a little bit head scratching, and
that's a good way to
some of it seems really interesting and exciting. Some of it seems like a pretty bad idea, and we're curious to see how it shakes out here. So
honestly, like lately, it feels like I'm watching a train wreck that I also want to be on the train for.
Oh yeah,
so I don't know how to feel.
So before I forget here, we were talking about how like a really good animation gets you excited. So they showed the first 7 minutes of their Blood Angels series, and one of the, of course, a couple of the scenes are just a couple of Space Marines calling each other brother and talking about honor, which looks pretty awful, but. The next scene was a shot of like a bridge of a battle barge for the Space Marine chapter, and that was awesome. So I don't know if you saw it, but they pan around and it's like half cathedral, half sci-fi barge, and there's like all these servitors, and they actually have like the floating skull thing like hanging around.
Nice.
And everybody sitting at their station has these terrible augmetics, like their eyes are replaced with flashlights and stuff, and it
right.
But just the gothic design of the bridge, and like how it's like part church, part war room. Wonderful. And it is one of those things that they talk about in the books and they refer to in a lot of the media, but seeing it animated and brought to life was glorious. And it was one of those things like, okay, this has always seemed like silly and stupid, but you know what, this is awesome. And so just that 1 or 2 minutes of just panning around the bridge of the battle barge was wonderful. And I do want to watch more of that. I could stand for less of the Space Marines calling each other brother, but yeah.
I think that's the thing that's always bothered me the most. Like, I've tried several times to play that Space Marine game for like, what is it, PS3 or I think it's PS3. And it's like, I can't just shut up about just talk normally, please. I don't know. Just bothers me a little bit.
No, I do want to watch all that content, and I will likely pay to watch that content.
And cancel it.
Yeah. I feel like there's probably a few of those shows that would be amazing for getting new people into this world, getting new people into this hobby.
Yeah.
And I wish that was not behind a paywall that you had to already be in the hobby to even know about. So,
right. I'll tell you what. I'm definitely excited enough to have, I don't know, I guess an easy way, even if it is behind a paywall, an easy way to get a little bit more of that lore, some of the information that just gets lost. Because there's stuff you just pick up on, right? But then if there's a really cool animation, or even if it's short and it gives you enough to go off of, like how much of this hobby is some stupid thing you saw where you're like, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that now. And it's like some drawing, right? So yeah, like this, it's going to be inspirational in a completely different way. for the people who are in this hobby. I just feel bad for people who aren't, who probably won't ever see it.
Right. Yep. So we'll see how it shakes out. I mean, if it like is just barely not profitable and they run it for a year before they realize it's not profitable, and then they have like, 10 seasons of something to throw up on Netflix later, there you go. Hey. Then I'm glad
at least they get some return.
Glad they tried it. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, we'll see. I don't think that's all we had for Warhammer Plus. I guess there's one more bit of news. Redgrass Games has their new wet palette coming out. They got a Kickstarter for that, and the only reason I'm bringing it up is because Miniac Scott just always goes into a rage when he talks about it, and I want to say that Redgrass Games, they sent me their new wet palette, and it's fine. It's a wet piece of paper. It does its job. Like it's fine. Yeah. Specialty
membrane.
It's a wet piece of paper. That's what I thought. It's good. It's good. Now I'll also say I like the box that it comes in, the hard wet palette box. I've stepped on a Masterson palette before and cracked it. That is cheap plastic, the Masterson palettes, but that Redgrass Games wet palette, I think I could step on that and it could be just fine. I haven't tried it yet, but
it might be a good test.
Yeah. I mean, I know Scott gets like really upset about the wet piece of paper, but I think, you want a wet piece of paper.
You know what's funny about that? Like how so many people talk about even Masterson's wet palettes. Like how I'll just throw away the paper. Take the paper out. Redgrass Games, any other army painter, I'll take that paper out, toss it. It's no good. Well, a lot of these newer wet palettes are talking about, well, these are all reusable, right? It's a membrane that you get wet and then you can wash it off. And like it actually works.
I didn't realize that. I actually threw away my first piece of paper. I don't know how many more came with it.
You might want to look into that. They're supposed to be like super reusable. But the point is that something I learned not that long ago, and I haven't actually tried, but I did see this in a video, and I can't remember who, but all of those papers are designed to be soaked like for many minutes and then placed on your wet palette so that there's actual transfer of moisture, right? So that your paper is even a little bit wet. What most of us do with Masterson's wet palettes is you get the sponge wet, you put the paper on, and you're like, this doesn't work at all. This is garbage because the paper isn't actually absorbing that moisture. There's not enough of it to absorb, or it's going to take way too long. It's going to take overnight. You actually have to soak that paper and then put it on. So I learned that, and I haven't tried it because I don't literally have any of that paper anymore. I threw it all away. But I thought that was interesting. And that's how the red palette ones, the newer ones, are supposed to work, where you can actually wash those off. And I've seen it done. A couple pretty good painters that have gotten theirs, and they're just like, yeah, works like any other wet palette. I washed this. It looks good. Cool. Yeah. Yeah. That's great.
Yeah. No, that's how I feel.
Yeah.
I really do like the box. It's it's the right height. It's the right surface area. Yeah, it seems good. The sponge inside fits it really nicely. I like that the paper is cut out to the size of the box. That's very convenient. On the whole topic of wet palettes, my philosophy has come to be like, yeah, wet palettes are really good. You should have one. Which wet palette is best? It's a wet piece of paper. Like
they're all
exactly
basically
which wet piece of paper might depend on the humidity and temperature of the room you're in and your painting style and how you like to do things, but it's a wet piece of paper.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Not much difference. Yeah.
I don't know. I know Redgrass Games, they go all in with their marketing of this is the absolute best, scientifically optimized wet piece of paper. And
I mean, the only thing that could be scientifically optimized is like how the lid shuts to make it a maximum amount of like how much air to moisture is let in and out. Like that's literally the only thing they could do to change the wet palette.
There's I think there is it them that's working on the light. I was listening to Trapped Under Plastic and yeah, the light, which is the best light for painting. I mean,
yeah, right.
Does it flicker?
Don't like, say that.
Is it the color temperature you want? Fine. Is it in your way? Does it flicker? Like, what else is there? Like,
I mean, the fact that people have been using like $10 desk lamps for years and getting like the best results in the actual world, like it's fine. It's not the best light.
Some lights, as they age, they get a little bit of a whine to them, like.
That's true. Like this ring light I got above me is starting to get funky.
And so, you know, if you're working under one of those lights and you start to go a little bit insane, that can make your painting either better or worse. I don't know. So
yeah. And the problem with having multiple lights like you've got like 6 shop lights up there. You're never going to know which one it is. One of those bulbs is going to start to go.
Well, in other news, I optimized my system. I can now do 2 lights, 4 lights, or all 6 lights. So
you son of a bitch.
In this setting for the podcast, I'm trying it today. We got 2 shop lights. We got
it's funny, I noticed
2 LED panels. We got a couple of fill lights, just a couple of little LED screw-in bulbs, and always trying out new things and seeing what works. But
yeah. I'm seeing it's funny because you lift your hands up and I see shadows in new places.
Yeah,
it's weird. Like they're not normally like passing your face like that. So it's just strange. The weird crap that I wasn't ever going to mention until you just mentioned that. So, oh boy.
All right. Casey, you said that we'd have a lot to talk about today, and
we definitely did.
We did it, buddy.
We did it. like my memory card's almost full.
I think
we're actually getting
our
there.
time together may be coming to a close. So second time's a charm here, Casey.
Yeah. Well, what I was going to say is on that note, just skip back like a minute and a half or whatever it was and listen to the outro. That's
like 30 minutes ago, Casey.
Was it really? Thank you again for joining us on another episode of Paint Bravely. If you enjoy this podcast, please help us out by just share the podcast. We would love that. And we do appreciate each and every one of you.
Thank you. We're sorry.
I love how we're just like, we're not going to ramble. We got this worked out. We are professionals. Like, we're so full of shit.
We're so very sorry. We want you to know that we appreciate you and we're sorry.
I mean, I really do appreciate everyone that listens to this podcast. Like, yeah. It makes my week.
Crazy. Yeah. Well, on that note.
All right. Go get a beer or something.